I'm Shayna. I love dogs, I trip a lot, and I happen to have a knack for making pretty sweet videos for businesses. But the more videos we made, the more questions I got about how video and other content can be leveraged to make a bigger impact in their marketing. I mean, 44% of marketers say that producing content is their biggest challenge, yet content marketing is 62% less expensive than outbound and produces 3 times more leads. Now, I know a lot, but I certainly don't know it all, so I made it my mission to talk with content kings, queens, and bosses to learn as much as I could about crushing content marketing, and I'm taking you along with me. Welcome to the Content Coalition. So it's Harry Duran with FullCast. Thank you so much for coming on today with us. He serves podcasters also. We're going to talk about his podcast, how he got to that, and then how he segued into helping podcasters. And then he's going to give you an actionable item to implement today if you can. Not if you can.
Sure.
You just should.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, awesome. So, okay. So what in 4 sentences does FullCast do?
We empower thought leaders to amplify their authority and expand their reach through the power of podcasting.
Awesome. Wow, that was quite the, you said that once or twice, right? Okay, so now explain, what physically do you guys do?
So it's complete done-for-you service for podcasting. So what I want them to focus on is to be, consider themselves the talent, right?
They're genius,
They're
right?
genius.
Yeah.
Like, what's the best thing you do? You get on the mic and you either teach because you're a thought leader in a specific topic and you can talk the crap out of that stuff, or you just are a great conversationalist and you have great interviews. So record your interview and then get it into Dropbox and then stop. And then we'll take it from there. And if it's like a MOV file that we have to split up, we'll get both sides of the audio, we master both sides, we do all the editing, the mastering, we'll add your intros, we'll add your outros, we'll add your music. And then we add your ID3 tags, which is the information that's inside so that iTunes can read your information correctly in your podcast. Then at that point, we write full show notes. And the structure of the show notes is a summary, timestamps. We pull out 3 to 5 quotable tweets, and we put so if there's like a one-line thing that's someone mentioned that we're going to use it later in social media.
Yeah.
So 5 quotable lines. Any links mentioned in the show, we pull those out as well. Because a pet peeve for me as a podcaster is when a podcaster says, okay, we'll provide that link in the show notes. And I'm like, yeah. And I go into show notes and I'm like, it's not there.
It's not there. Come
like
on.
you told me it'd be there.
they can't click on the episode. So.
Yeah. So
yeah.
And all the new podcast players are now really rich media,
right.
savvy. And so you can click on it within the player. So we provide all that. We write a full transcription. In a second, I'll tell you how we use that. So we actually log into clients' website and all their social media platforms. We post the show notes to their site for them. Then we create customized artwork every single week. And then we actually go into social media mode. So we log into their Twitter, their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Instagram, and we create an artwork customized for each platform. There's nothing worse than seeing artwork that was meant for Facebook show up on Twitter, and the side is cut off, and it's like, oh, okay, you're just forwarding it, or you're just using the auto forward feature of these social media platforms.
Yeah.
And because they're thought leaders, we want to make sure they're polished, they're looking polished.
Of course.
On each side, you have to customize the message for the social platforms, as I'm sure you're aware. In Twitter, you've got the 240 characters. In Instagram, you've got 2,200 characters. So we changed the message in there. And then we have content now. I love this idea of repurposing content, but because we pulled out 5 quotes, each tweet is a different quote.
Yeah.
And so now, because we have we take about a 15 to 30 second soundbite, and we use it as the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
So it's like the teaser.
So how do you feel about Alexa skills?
It's interesting because I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, and this idea of voice is extremely top of mind for me because he's constantly saying on the show, Alexa, buy me a toothbrush. And he's like, did you see what I just did? In 7 seconds, I just did it faster than me logging onto Amazon.
Right.
And so 80% of podcasts are consumed on mobile devices, right? So people are on the treadmill, people are making dinner, they're walking the dog, they're in traffic, they need content to consume, and that's why audiobooks are so popular. So you need to have content available for them so that they're always consuming your stuff. Yeah.
And one thing that I was talking about is I actually just did an episode, so funny that you're breaking one episode apart into 95 different pieces of content. I just did a video talking about that, how one episode can then be turned into 30 different things. But I mentioned Alexa skills, and I guess my question is do you think that it would be redundant or okay to utilize those small clips that, like you say you do for Twitter, and then throw those on Alexa skills for like your podcast or for whatever. I mean, obviously it's not a podcasting platform.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out a way to still utilize that with podcasts.
Well, it's interesting because now one of the hosting companies I work with, Libsyn, which is a pretty popular, Joe Rogan's on there, Tim Ferriss is on there. They're now working with Alexa Skills team specifically, so they make it a little bit easier to get on there. But essentially you would say, Alexa, play Podcast Junkies podcast or something like that, which is the name of my show. And so it would play it right away.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to have, this idea of voice being a direct link to get your show played right away, because that's what people are going to do. We're moving into the Jetsons world, like
crazy,
super fast.
Right? Yeah.
And you're going to go into voice enabled for everything. Alexa, turn on the light. Or Alexa, like reorder my milk. Or Alexa, like dim the lights. Like everything is going to be voice command. So you should be like, Alexa, I want to hear a podcast. Or what's the top business podcast? A friend of mine rebranded his show as The Business Podcast. That's the name of his show.
Genius.
And of course, like everything
come on.
You have to think about everything from an SEO perspective nowadays. So I had an early client who said, I want to do a podcast that's about angel investing, because that's the people that I work with. I was like, is Angel Investing Podcast available as a domain? She's like, we were on the call, she looked it up, I was like, yes, grab that, that's the name of your show.
Yeah, right.
Like that's what people search for in iTunes. So now I'm like really rethinking, like people love to get fancy with these names, and anything that's hard to spell, people are listening to it. So even John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneur on Fire, he had to grab eofire.com.
Yeah, right.
Because he's
entrepreneur. I mean, come on.
It's one of those like words that are just ripe for misspelling.
For sure.
So as a podcaster, like it's hard enough to get people to find your show. Don't make it so much more difficult.
Right.
Like make it really easy when they hear, like, is there a number in your title? Is it 2, T-O-O? Is it the number 2? Is it T-O-O? Like which one is it? And if people have to second guess, you know, I was like, oh, you know, what did he mean or what did she mean when she said this? You've already sort of lost them, because it's like, never mind, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't. So just make it easy and remember that people are on the go, and that's why at the end of each show I said, you know, 1 call to action or 2, but it's just super easy to remember. Yeah. So people, you know, can remember it even if they've stopped listening to that episode.
And make the link clickable, and actually make a link.
Yeah,
in the show notes, right?
Yeah, and just take your show seriously. Like be consistent. Like even when I'm on other shows now, like if I go to another show, and I was on my friend's show called Travis, and he's got a show called Build Your Network. And so when I went on his show as a guest, I said, Travis, thank you so much for having me on your show. I've created a special download for your guests. Right. And I sent them to my URL, fullcast.co/Travis. So I created it, and I use a tool called Lead Pages. I just swap out the landing page, and I change the information. Welcome, Build Your Network fans. This is the download I mentioned on the show.
Right.
Now the beauty of using a tool like that is I can see how many people came from Travis's show, how many people came from my friend John's show that I was on, and then you start to see, okay, when I'm on these types of shows, I'm getting more traction. I need to get on more types of shows like that. Yeah.
Awesome. I just feel like you gave so much amazing information for anybody. I mean, talking about all the different ways to utilize podcast and voice.
Yeah.
I mean, and I talk about it with video, and just to be able to do it with voice only is mind-blowing to me. One conversation.
Well, the beauty of it is that when you start with video, you know, you can do everything that I just said, by and I'm sure this is something you teach and talk about as well, just the idea of taking that video and then making it audio. So just repurpose the crap out of this content, because people are starving for content, and to the extent that you can make it visible on all these different platforms, you're going to make it easier for people to find you.
For sure. Yeah. So if somebody listening was to take one of their episodes and pull one additional piece of content out, what's the most effective, do you think? Obviously it all works symbiotically, but what do you think the one big powerful hit would be?
I really like what we're doing with these snippets of audio, because it's a couple of different benefits. And one is placing it at the beginning of your episode and just having it be the soundbite that leads people into your content. So when you're working with your editor and say, hey, we need a 15-second, we need a 30-second snippet because we're going to use that. Once you have that snippet, then you can proceed to make these audiogram, and that gets you now, technically it's a movie, but it really shows up. And when people are in their Twitter feed, I mean, the life of a tweet, what I've heard, is like 7 minutes. Yeah. So you need to create content that makes them pause.
Right.
And if you just have, hey, download my episode, that's not engaging enough. Right. But listen to this soundbite where I talk, you know, and tell you why video marketing is important. You've got 240 characters now. You can do posts like that in Twitter, like use it up and describe what they're about to listen to when they click the unmute button on this little movie that's playing, and you see the animated waveform, you're like, that's going to cause them to slow down. So just create engaging content that causes viewers and listeners to lean in. You know, and the sound bites will give you that.
Awesome. So what podcasts are you listening to right now?
I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss's podcast. He does a lot of good things. And then I try to listen to podcasts that sort of get me out of my, just kind of think, I like 99% Invisible. It's a storytelling podcast as well. Radio Lab is a really good podcast I listen to as well.
Very cool. So I know we talked about a lot of action items, but the big question always at the end is, what's one actionable thing that a listener can do? So if there's just one, not like break it apart into 54 pieces of content, but what's the one thing that they can do this afternoon or, you know, tomorrow morning or whatever that will help them?
If they're interested in starting a podcast, we always say the first thing you can do is record your first episode, but you want to do it with a quality microphone. And the top recommended microphone is Audio-Technica's ATR 2100. It's got a USB plug and an XLR plug, so it grows as you need it, but you can literally take that mic, plug it into your laptop, and record your first episode. You never have to tell anyone about it. You can just record it, because this is the hardest thing, right? Because people are worried, like, I don't like the way my voice sounds. You never have to even like play it for your mom. Just do it and just work it out. Your 10th episode is going to be better than your first, and your 50th is going to be better than your 10th. But just do it if you're serious about it.
So what about people who are already podcasting? They've got the gear. They've got 100 episodes in the can. What's one thing they can do?
What they need to do is find out what other platform or what other audience they're serving with their content, where they can share their content where it's not visible. So for example, if you're talking to chiropractors on your show, like can you go to a chiropractors conference and set up a booth and say, I want to interview chiropractors live? You want to be where your competition is not. So if you have a podcast about a specific topic, like I'm going to a conference in this Friday. I'm literally doing back-to-back conferences.
Oh my God.
It's called the Conscious Media Festival, and it's about people who are raising consciousness through media. And so I set up a podcasting booth. I'm the only podcaster there.
Nice.
So I want to be where other podcasters are not, but where I know that my message is going to resonate. So for anyone who has a podcast, where can you be or do a live version of your show? You know, just get yourself out of your comfort zone. If you've just been doing Skype videos for the past, year, go to the park and do your next one on mobile. You know, just keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. Record a video for your first one, or record a video promo of your podcast. People would think, well, it's just audio, but go on live. You create a Facebook group. I know I'm giving you more than one, but
I'll take it.
the ideas keep coming.
You have a lot to choose from. So
one of the biggest things I love is create a community around your podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't have a private Facebook group for your podcast, your behind the scenes group, like do that today, because people love this behind the scenes, inside like the workings, like how the sausage is made sort of stuff. And I'm walking my dog, I'm like, hey guys, I just had Jordan Harbinger on the show, and he's now moved away from this. He's got his new podcast called The Jordan Harbinger Show, and he's talking about the challenges of starting from zero, and I'm really excited about having that conversation. And so I'm like walking the dog and doing that. And that's the best place to share content like that.
Well, it's like you've got these people who are giving you, they're sticky audiences. They're giving you so much of their time. They're inviting you into their living room, right? And to not, to not serve them also, like they're already engaged.
They want it. They want it. There's a group of your audience that really wants to be your super fans.
Yeah, they want to be your family.
I create something called a retention hashtag at the end of my podcast episode. And so every time a guest comes on, I invent a hashtag, but I only say it at the end of the episode. So you have to listen to the whole thing, and then you have to tweet about it.
Cool.
And there's like a couple of people that are super fans, and every week I'm like, oh, super fan, listen to the end.
And you know who they are.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I feel like you just flooded us with amazing information. Thank you so much for coming on. And how can people find you?
If they're interested in any work around podcast, just FullCast.co.
Awesome.
But I'm active on Facebook, and I'm active on Instagram and Twitter as well. So if you look up Harry Duran, then you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And we'll see. We hugged earlier. It's awkward to hug in these chairs. So
we can do one of those.
We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Content Coalition. Now, whether you're listening or watching, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to whatever platform you're listening to it on, because you're not going to want to miss out on the incredible things that I'm learning with these amazing content marketing pros. So make sure you subscribe, and we will talk to you next week.